do you think religion is important, and why do you think it's important in our society?
I always had this question because I only remembered one part of the khutbah, the last sermon. He said, I do not bring you a religion. I bring you the best way of life. सब झगड़े अना के होते हैं, लोग कब कहाँ किसी के होते हैं. क्यों लगाते हैं आरज़ुए मन उनसे जो खुद से बेवफा जुदा होते हैं. तो सब झगड़े अना के होते हैं. All about the ego. Ego is not a bad thing. Just be aware of it.
The you have the Ministry of Tolerance, but the way they execute it is unbelievable.
Every government needs to take example from what they have said. This Ministry of Tolerance. Everything that we see and we don't feel anymore. It's all about right, wrong. It's about he, she. That's the sad part. You know, we are made to love such beautiful life, and what a waste of it. But saying all that also, again, it's this is the way that we would appreciate life.
बहुत छोटी सी minority है जिसको हम लोग blame करते हैं.
The other thing, the concept of equality is wrong. We are not equal. We are different. Women are like God. They have the ability to give birth and nurture what they give birth to. We are there to protect. Women were supposed to rule. Men were supposed to ensure that rule.
What do you think men and women do wrong? What do they not understand when it comes to love? Thank you so much for being here. It is an honor to have you on Karak With Mahreen. I'm very, very excited to talk about many different areas. I think one thing when I was doing research, I was like, there's so much that I could talk to you about because I feel like you have a strong, beautiful opinion, articulate opinion about literally anything that I could think of, whether it's fashion, art, religion, spirituality, love, all of it. So it took me time to kind of decide what do I really want to talk to you about. But yeah, that I just want to share that I feel like there's so much that people can learn from you through your content, through the
I lived
wisdom.
so much longer than you, so
Well,
I'm like a dinosaur, man.
that could be one reason, but no, I don't think that.
I'm the friendly dinosaur. I just look scary.
No, you don't look scary at all. But I did hear your story of how when you went to, I think you were going to the US and in the airport someone stopped and
Yeah, I was in
you said you were
London.
wearing a dhoti, so you were like, how could they check your pockets? And does that happen often when you travel? Like, how is your travel experiences like?
You know something? It happens all the time.
Oh, okay.
Not just in travel. I mean, everywhere you go. I mean, if you look different, people will look at you. So initially, you know, sometimes people get offended. But you have to be aware of yourself that if you look different, you know, people will look at you a lot of times with fear, a lot of times with, you know, I don't know who this guy is or what's this about. Even in Pakistan.
Oh.
Yeah, you look at me, you know, I wear a turban. Then I have a dhoti. My turban's very Sindhi, my dhoti is very Punjabi, and my face is very Baloch. So they're like, you know,
What is this
what is this?
combination?
Exactly. So, yes. So you should be ready to face such situations. And usually what people, you know, do, they react. One should not react. One needs to act. You know, yes, I look different. So when they're looking at you with this prejudice, which is the biological fear of stranger. You have to make them comfortable. So, you know, the Prophet ﷺ, you know, gave us this beautiful gift. So if someone's looking at you with fear, with anger, with anxiety, with surprise, all you have to say is, Assalamu alaikum. Everything changes. It is such a beautiful gift that even when someone's giving you negative vibes, all you do is just bless them. Simple. And they're compelled to bless you back.
No matter what.
No matter what. The fear goes away.
Why do you think that just that one word has such a huge impact? Like just by saying Salaam Alaikum, why is that so impactful?
Because if someone's, you know, thinking ill of you or bad of you or not comfortable with you, and you still bless them, that is the magic of blessing.
That's beautiful. So when you say that one should not react, one should act, I think that is definitely a skill that takes time to develop because, at least from my opinion, I'm curious to hear yours, but usually I guess your innate response is to just snap when someone is judging you or someone is offending you. how does one learn to act?
See, we've become reactive personalities because we've been raised in fear. So if you're raised in fear, you feel inferior. Then we're raised in guilt. And then we're raised in greed. So if you have these three things in you, you will always react.
Wow.
You'll never act. We're born to act, not react.
So we were born to act, but then
Yeah.
we learn to react.
The environment's made us reactive. It's just out of fear.
Do you think that so you talked about three components: fear, guilt, and
Greed.
greed. And do you think that the way we are raised with these three components, it's common in Pakistani society, or do you think that's all around the world?
It's all around the world. We have, since you're born, we are made to compete with each other. I cannot even compete with my left and right hand. So we are made to complement each other. And that brings us strength. And competition takes that strength away and puts fear in us. You go into school, what do they tell you? Compete. At at home also. You're competing with your siblings. Your sister's doing this. Oh my, sharm nahi aati. Ladkiyan aage chali gayi. So, all our lives, we've seen competition, and someone who's doing well in that competition is considered like the A graders and stuff. But in life, if you see, where are those A graders now? The ones who were ahead in the competition are actually the last in life.
Wow. Because they're constantly competing.
Constantly competing.
They don't learn to collaborate.
They can. Neither in life, neither in relationships, neither in work.
That's why I feel like the society is built in a way where it's, especially in, I think, I don't want to say just in Dubai or in like a fast-paced society, it's very hard to find people who genuinely want to help you.
That's another problem. We're always looking for the other who will be helpful. Why don't you become that? If you become that, then you don't expect from anyone else. And also, this one, we have this, everyone's been given this pill of hope. I think it's just totally fraud.
Oh, okay. Why?
Hope. Every time you hope, you look at someone. And every time you look at someone, you can't see yourself. Just have faith. But faith? La raiba fi.
What does that mean?
Without any doubt. Just have faith. Every time we hope, we look around and we look up. In that you miss yourself out. Just have faith, man.
So you think hope has become something more external, where we think of more hope we associate it with external forces, like how can someone else help us out?
Exactly. That's when you stop believing in yourself. And when you do not believe in yourself, you don't believe in God.
Yeah, I remember I saw you say that when you love yourself, you're loving your creator, you're loving God.
Of course.
Yeah, that's the
Without competition.
Without competition.
It's all about complementing.
True. So coming back to what you initially talked about, you said prejudice, and how I remember seeing you made a very beautiful, a very clear distinction between prejudice and racism. Before I explain what you said, I'd love for you to say it yourself. How would you differentiate the two?
See, prejudice is the biological fear of stranger. Like someone looks different, you'd be like, oh, you kind of take a step back. It's just natural. But when you act on your prejudice, that's when you become racist. Then that is wrong, because then you're making a judgment. Prejudice is just, it just reflects. Someone's trying to slap you, you just go up. This is a reflex action. But when you punch back, that's the...
Interesting. So then is it wrong to have prejudice? Is that something that you can unlearn or should unlearn?
You just have to be aware of it. You have to be aware of your reflexes. For example, reflex action, it's not trained. It just comes automatically to you. If something's coming to your eye blinks. But you have to be aware
that this is something you're doing.
But afterwards, when you punch someone or you hit someone, now that is learned behavior. Someone teaches you how to punch, but nobody teaches you how to defend.
So that means racism is a learned behavior.
Of course.
Why do you think this is? How do you think people learn such behavior in our society?
Being competitive. Simple as that. If you try to compliment, you'll never be racist. Every time you compete,
Mm.
you'll have that problem. And people who compete, people on the top are always alone.
So you think that when people are racist to one another, they are basically comparing themselves to that person, or trying to see themselves higher than that person. That's why they're competing.
Of course. You think of yourself as someone better than the other. I mean, you're the best. So why be better than someone else? Just be the best.
I know you were in the US for quite some time and then you moved back to Pakistan. You've talked a lot about that. I've seen a lot of videos where you talked about that. Because on our show, we talk a lot about cultures. We compare cultures, but in a very positive way where we can learn from different cultures and different countries. So I kind of wanted to talk about, is there something that you've learned from the US that you may have not in Pakistan? And is there something you've learned in Pakistan that you may have not in the US?
Yes, I lived there for 15 years, and from my teens, I went there when I was in my teen and I left when I was in my 30s. So yes, I learned a lot from America and Americans. And I feel they're the best people on the planet.
Oh, wow.
But at the same time, the most ignorant at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah, because they believe everything that they see on TV. Whatever you feed them, they will buy it.
They'll buy it, yeah.
But, I went to Midwest
Mm-hmm.
and in early 90s.
Mm.
In fact, 89.
Oh, wow.
And I went to a small town. And people had never seen people of my color. Yes, they were a little, kind of like, oh, who is this person? But they were very warm. I used to go to church and nobody kicked me out. And so it was a beautiful journey. Still, my friends, called me up. It's like, Yousuf, are you okay? I was like, yeah, what happened? Well, there was a bomb blast in Kabul. I was like, well, there was a hurricane in Miami also. Get your geography right. I'm in Pakistan. But that is a problem because America itself is not just a country, it's a continent. There's a whole world on its own.
It's huge.
And a lot of people have not even, people lived in the United States, born, raised there, never visited the coasts. They've never gone to New York. And, for me, like going to New York in the summer was just like, okay. And everyone's like, oh, you're going to New York, you'll see the Empire State Building. So people in the Midwest, still very simple, but just beautiful people.
So you said that there were some of the best people that you met. Why do you say best? I understand the ignorant part, which you explained. The best, is that because of the warmth that you felt? What else did you kind of feel from the people there?
I can tell you not just one, I have hundreds and thousands of examples, but just generally, I tell you, my host parents initially lived on a farm, and I was told that they were farmers and they have horses. I was really excited. Like, I'm going to go to the farm, so I go to the farm, and then they're pigs.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, hello. I mean, like, no pig business, man. I mean, I'm Muslim. You touch the pigs, you can't hug me. So I was very raw about it and very rough. And these are also very diplomatic because I was just rude. But something, these people who ate, bacon in the morning, hamburger in the afternoon, and pork chops at night, out of respect. And they had never seen a person like me. Not only they did not eat while I was there, they changed the plates, the cutlery, everything in the house. So who does that? I mean, every time I was there in Ramadan, they fasted with me. They respected that. Not knowing anything about that culture. And at that time, there was no internet. There was no awareness. They didn't even know where Pakistan was on the map. They thought we were India or Afghanistan. Like, Pakistan did not exist in their geography at that time.
They didn't know what that was.
But still, that much respect and that much regard for a culture that they were unaware of. That's what makes me say they are like the best people that I've interacted.
Wow. That's beautiful. That's actually beautiful to see, because I know that everyone has mixed travel experiences. They have mixed opinions about different countries. And I feel like in this world, we always constantly talk about the negative side, which we still should. I do think that we still should talk about the negative and address that. But it's also important to be aware of like the beauty of every country. There's beauty in every single country, even if I don't agree with what certain countries are doing, right? But then in Pakistan, is there something that you feel like you couldn't have learned in the US? Something that was so different that only like Pakistanis do or people in Pakistan do?
In Pakistan, we talk a lot. And great chai.
That's
By
what
the
we're
way,
doing today. Over chai as well.
over chai. But I see, I mean, there's very less, recently, in the recent years I've seen, we don't have conversations. We just have conflicts.
We talk a lot, but we don't have
We
conversations.
don't have conversations. I remember as a child, I used to go with my grandfather, and we would go in our neighborhood, and everyone would bring something from home, so it's not a burden on the host. And every evening, these baithaks would happen, and they would talk about politics. They would talk about religion. But over the years, we become so intolerant about any other race, religion, culture, that we don't talk about it. We just fight about it. I mean, look at our, TV stations. Not just us, even Indians. We're pretty much the same people. So look at, you'll get to know when you hear the conversations on talk shows. What is it about? Baseless, meaningless. And the whole nation's watching it.
Millions of views.
So it's millions and millions of people watching something that's absolutely meaningless. Full of prejudice, full of racism, bad language, and this is not my culture. I had seen something very different. Although I was born in 71, I have not seen the best of Pakistan because it was before me. I was born in an era where we saw a new form of Islam. It's very different.
You were born in an era where you saw a new form of Islam.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? What is the new form of Islam? What was the new form of Islam?
One day my mother came to me and said, Yousuf, we do not say Khuda Hafiz anymore. Now it's going to be Allah Hafiz. My God changed overnight. I was like, hello. He said, okay, we don't say Shukriya anymore, We say Jazakallah. So this Islamization, which, if we were told what what actually meant.
Like why?
Would have been, but we were just told forcefully. It's like, we do not say this because it is, you become a kafir if you say something like this.
Oh.
Almost at that time, So it was a lot of, we were raised in this religious conflict.
Wow.
That we saw old photographs of our parents, having a great time. Karachi city looked beautiful. And when we were born, it was just riots, bomb blasts, racisms. Yeah, I was, when I was a little child, we did not know what Shia Sunni difference meant. And then in the 80s, all of a sudden, Shias were kafirs, or, Sunnis were kafirs, or Ahmadis were, everyone was kafir. I don't know who the real Muslim was.
So why do you think this happened? Why do you think that before we would have conversations and eventually Pakistan became a place where we have conflicts when we talk to each other? Why are we not able to have a conversation of a different opinion with someone with a different opinion?
I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened. I saw my city in front of my eyes, becoming a slum. It was such a beautiful city, and I saw parts of it. Every house had a little, gully at the end. Every house had a, banyan tree in front. And we walked, our walls were really low, and all of a sudden, the walls started becoming like 4 like fortresses.
Mm.
The trees were cut down. The roads, nobody took ownership of the city. All the gullies, became apartments. So I saw it in my own eyes, and I do not blame anyone else. I blame myself. I did not do anything to stop it. If I was not part of it, but then again, I didn't stop it. I did not voice an opinion. But I have an excuse. I was a little child. No, no excuse. I was just unaware. I should have been aware.
So you think that it's every person who's living there, it's living there or not, if you're a Pakistani, it's their responsibility to take care of the country?
As a human, you belong to this earth. We call it the mother. What are we doing to the mother? Does someone do that to the mother? Do you trash your mom? No, you don't.
Not at all, yeah.
So, yes, this whole world is my mother, in which I've gotten this blessed piece of land called Pakistan. That, my immediate responsibility towards my land, towards my nation, towards my people. But again, I'm the representative of that region, and the whole globe is my mother. So I come here, I don't trash in this city. Neither do I trash in my city. So
Yeah.
this is how we need to take care of.
Yeah, it's our land.
It is our land. And now the world's become a very small crucible. It affects everyone. Whatever you do here will affect the whole globe.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone can see, no matter where you are in the world, you are more aware of what's happening around in the world. Like the whole world is connected in some way or the other now. It's connected in more ways than it ever was in the past.
We were always connected. We're all part of the same source. We're all part of the same energy. We just are on a different frequency. We just need to tune on to the right frequency so we can all go in harmony. We all be in harmony. Like Maulana Room says beautifully. Az kujami ayati awaz doost. Khushk taro, khushk chubo, khushk poost. Az kujami ayati awaz doost. Nize taro, nize chubo, nize poost. Khud ba khud mi ayati awaz doost. Son hai sazast andar taro poost. He says, this string is dead, the wood is dead, and the skin on it is also dead. So where did this live sound come? Does it come automatically? No. The maker is inside of you. So sounds comes from that. So we're all different instruments. All we need to do is a little tuning. And if you tune, we'll all be on the same sur.
Wow.
So we come from one sur. We just have lost. You've been sent to this world so we can tune ourselves. And you know something? Our tuners, these schools, these religious leaders, these politicians, these countries, all have untuned us.
Like we've been even more untuned, do you think?
Huh?
Slowly we're getting more and more untuned in a way.
I don't know, but it depends on you, how much you love life and how much you love yourself. And if you do that, if you love humanity, you will tune yourself to everything around you. May it be plants, may it be animals. Right now, look at a bird. A bird sits on a lion's head, on a crocodile's head. Why? Because it knows that's not going to do anything to. Why does it not come on my hand? You know why? They know what's my intention. I don't even know my intention. A bird knows my intention. So we need to learn from birds. We need to learn from plants. We need to learn from all these things God's created for us. We need to tune ourselves on every frequency so that there's no fear, so that there's no guilt, so that there's no greed, and so that we live like kings. And that's what we made. God's not made anyone small. He's made everyone just ginormous. It's up to us how big we want to be.
And how we utilize that potential.
Exactly.
Like everyone has that potential.
Every single one.
We've all been blessed.
Has a meaning. And the reason why you've been given this life, this time, is to find out all these strengths. 99 names of God. These are 99 supernatural powers. And then he says, Shahra ke kareeb, close to your heart. So what does that mean? You have all these 99 powers inside of you. Whatever power you polish becomes your kingdom.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And I think I think a lot of what you speak of, and it does come from religion, right? Like I feel like you're inspired by religion in many ways. Why do you think religion is do you think religion is important, and why do you think it's important in our society?
It's not coming from religion. It's coming from my prophet.
Hmm.
May peace be upon him. And as a child, I always had this question because I only remembered one part of the khutbah, the last sermon. He said, I do not bring you a religion. I bring you the best way of life.
A living.
So it's not religion. It's my prophet.
It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. He's taught us every single thing, from eating to talking to walking to connecting. You look at his life and it's just beautiful. But he had such a tough life, not an easy life. He was a Sardar's son. He could have everything. And, he sacrificed everything, to make this place. This was all his place. The whole world was created for him. So his example was beautiful. He signed Sulh Hudaybiyah. We don't teach that in school. We don't teach that in politics. We don't teach that to our politicians. Sulh Hudaybiyah is a document in history that I believe that every politician on this planet should actually research and learn it by heart.
What is it exactly?
It was the peace agreement between the people of Mecca and the Prophet ﷺ.
Oh, yes.
So it was just the Sulh Hudaybiyah. I even take its name and I get goosebumps. It was just, I was like, how can someone do something like that? And he did it.
Why do you think it's important for the world to learn from this, like the peace agreement that you just talked about? Why is that so important? And why do you think people don't do that?
War is great business. And if someone reads or believes or has faith in that document, there would be no wars around. No wars. We'd be a war-free earth, war-free mother.
Yeah.
And there's so many other businesses other than war that, if you do, it'd be great.
So then do you think that, because based on what your initial point about how you were born into a new form of Islam, do you think that a lot of people or our society in Pakistan, even outside of Pakistan, they're not following the right Islam?
See, there's no right or there's no wrong, I believe.
Okay.
Just human way. How would you want people to treat you? As simple as that. How would you want to be connected to God? As simple as that. Some people meditate, but some people need some form of direction. They cannot do it on their own. So they need, a guidance. So it's okay. It's to each his own. As long as you are not judging. That is the most important part. If you go to shrines all over the world, shrines of Sufis, I'm not even talking about Muslim Sufis, I'm talking about all Sufis. You go to their shrines, it's crowded with people. And actually, these shrines, people have made business out of these shrines. Their families made business out of these shrines. So, and if you see all the Badshahs, all the kings at the time, you look at their shrines. Nobody goes there. Nobody prays for them. Everyone goes there for a selfie maybe. Or they're standing in line and says, oh, I need a discount on it. I'm a student, I'm I'm a senior citizen, you have a discount on it. Why? Have you ever thought, why do people go to all the fakirs? All the, saints and Sufis were fakirs. They didn't have monetary wealth. They didn't give jobs. They didn't supply drugs or women. But on the other hand, the kings of the times, they had all the power. And look at their graves. Nobody goes to them. Their family doesn't even go to it. What was the difference? That these people live forever, and these who had all the strengths have died.
The way they acted, the way they give back to the...
One never judged, the other always judged. Judgment is only for thy Lord. Humans, we are not supposed to judge. We are not to judge. That's the main thing. And all the Sufis, they never judged. And look at, how God has, or whatever deity you want to call it, or whatever energy has blessed them with is like till eternity. People will be loving them. And the ones who were kings had everything, all the power. They're nowhere.
And you say that only Lord has, or only the Lord can judge, but even then the Lord does not judge.
Yes. He does not judge.
So who
It's
are
his
we
power.
to?
Exactly. And look at, anyone, and especially arrogance. Where did these arrogant people go? Their whole nasl is gone. Saddam. These are people in front of our eyes. Gaddafi, the Mughals, all these people in front of our eyes. Their whole families have vanished. Nothing left. And the Sufis and their saints, their families are still thriving. Still thriving. So you can see the blessings in front of you. And I'm not talking about ancient Egypt. I'm talking about, yesterday.
Yeah, it's people we've actually seen
Exactly.
and read
And they're
about
gone.
and learned about. Yeah.
Gone. We don't know whether family exists or not. The kings of Persia and the kings of Arab and kings of all gone.
Yeah, it's the same thing with how we talk about the Prophet, the way you brought up. And I remember you saying that the Prophet lived thousands of years because we still talk
He will
about
always
him.
live. He will always live. And look at the czars of Russia. Look at the Hitlers of Germany. They don't even have a living being left, of their family. All gone. Such powerful, such richness, so much land, all gone.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
See?
It's true.
And it's in front of our eyes.
Yeah.
And we can't see it.
And we never make that connection, I think. We've learned about some of these people. We're aware of these people, but we've not thought about the consequence, what's happened after that.
We learn from history that we learn nothing from his story. And always remember, it's his story.
Yeah, it is.
And every story
It
is not a reality. Every story is an exaggeration of what actually happened.
Mm.
And a different perception, different perspective.
Yeah. Because everyone sees the world in a different way. So no matter what you say, it can be perceived very differently.
Just me and you sitting here. You have a different view, I have a different view. So another thing that has happened is that, your generation, the younger generation, you guys are honest. You want facts, and you want proof. And you even call your parents out also if they're wrong. It's like, no, Dad, you're wrong. My kids do it. So you guys are honest. My generation, we were dishonest. But again, there's a problem with you also. Because truth is very different than haqq.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, you could swear that you could see a white bearded man in front of you, and I could swear I do not see a white bearded man in front of me, right?
I hope not.
So you telling the truth and I'm telling the truth. Both truth is haqq. Truth is one-sided. Haqq is both sides. But again, haqq is not for all. Haqq is only for haqdar.
Mm-hmm.
And so the problem with your generation is that, I see this is the truth. It's like, yes, that is the truth. But it's not haqq.
Mm.
Haqq is everything that surrounds the truth. Mansoor said, Anal haqq. Anal haqq, if God's inside of me, then I am God. And everyone knew his perspective, but they still killed him. So, hai anal haqq, haqq. है अनल हक हक पर कहनी न थी यार की महफिल से बाहर यार की महफिल की बात. So haq is not for everyone. Haq is for haqdar. Just like, we go and we say, that person did not respect me. We are asking for respect from people who have no respect. How can they give it to you? And then we get upset at them.
But isn't it still important to address that? Because if we're not addressing it and if we just accept it, how can we just progress as a society if we accept everything that's wrong?
You do not accept everything as wrong. You do not, do that. That's why I'm saying haqq. See the other perspective also and then make a judgment about it. of the situation. You see one perspective, and it's just like, the camera will give you one view and you will make a judgment on it. You have to show the whole thing, and then you'll know exactly what the situation is.
So you think our generation is quick to form an opinion or quick to judge because they don't fully grasp what's happening. They don't fully grasp the other point of view. They don't have like a holistic point of view of what's happening.
See, you're much more well informed. I tell you, do you know XYZ person? You're like, no. Now I know. So you need, you're much more well informed than myself. But again, you're ignorant about the surroundings. You have your own little iPod and iPad and iPad and all this. You have all those, and that's your world. Whatever it feeds you, you believe that. But there's a world outside of that too. There are emotions outside of that too. There's history beyond that too. And a lot of things in it is also not correct either. So this is how they're shaping your mind, shaping your thoughts.
Yeah.
And shaping our history.
And also, if we completely rely on media and what we see online to form our opinion, it cannot always be accurate because media is not always accurate.
Of course. It's made to make you fearful. Yeah. It's make you feel guilty.
And
it's
have
made
greed.
to make you greed.
Yeah, definitely. But why do you say that your generation was dishonest?
Because we were told lies and we believed in them.
Like what?
Anyone darker than you is scary. Bawa jayega. We were always afraid of that. The bahu never came. We were afraid of tomorrow. We were afraid of grades. We were afraid of teachers. We were afraid of everything. Understand, if you're raised in fear, you will feel inferior. So we felt inferior.
How can we change that? How do we change that?
Being aware of yourself.
Self-reflection.
Self-reflection. The other is very important in your life. But because the other only tells you how beautiful you are, how ugly you are, how honest you are, how brave you are. The other tells you that. The problem comes when the other comes in your life. When they come into your life, you start looking at them. And when I look at someone else, I can't see myself. When the other comes in your life, start looking at yourself. How are you behaving? What's happened to you? Why are you shifting from your being? Are you trying to impress? This is what we're doing. Trying to impress someone else. By not being ourselves. You go on a date, you're saying, what is he like? What does she like? Why? You should know. They should like what you like. You should like what you like. So we pretend to be someone else. When the other comes to you, become conscious, oh my God. No, when the other comes to you, you should be looking at yourself, not the other.
And I guess that takes quite some time. It's like an exercise that you sort of have to intentionally do to be fully self-aware.
Like that. The time taking is when you are hoping. When you have faith. Just like that. So have faith. And you will see this all of a sudden change in your character, in your personality, in your outlook on life, relationships, business, friends, family, everything.
In your confidence overall.
Exactly, yes.
The way you...
If you have faith, you have all the confidence. When you have hope, you keep on looking around.
Waiting for something to happen.
Exactly. And then blaming someone for it too. May it be someone else or may it be God.
It keeps you accountable as well when you have faith in yourself because you don't blame anyone else.
Nobody.
You're fully accountable.
Nobody to blame.
Interesting, yeah. And coming back to the point that you've mentioned, that I also mentioned during this conversation, was about how when you love yourself, you love your creator. And I think you've talked quite a lot about the concept of love. And you've talked about the importance of it. And once I saw you talking about how as human beings, we don't need much in life. We just need a little bit. But when it comes to love, we need an unlimited supply of love. Why do you say that?
The breath that you have is the most important thing. If you don't have breath, then it's story over. So this is, you've been destined for these breaths. First is health. If you don't have health, there's nothing. Second is love. And third is respect. These are three key ingredients. God has promised that He will feed you. Rest is, you got to toil a little bit, if you want to get a fancy house in a nice neighborhood, well, you can live in a jungle too. But for that, you have to toil a little. For that, you need to develop a skill set. That skill set will give you enough power to go and, live the life that you want to. But most of the time, our wishes are, are not even ours. They're someone else's. Why do you want to go to a certain university? Well, because my friends have gone there. Why do you want to go in their neighborhood? Because my relatives would think I'm rich. Why do you want to drive that car? Because everyone's going to think different of me.
We live for other people.
Exactly. We are supposed to live for ourselves. This life is for you. You need to enjoy it, and others need to benefit. That is the purpose of our life. Find out what your strengths are and use them to benefit others. Simple. Extremely complicated, but very simple.
We make life so complicated.
Yes.
When you say it, it just sounds like, oh, like that makes total sense. But when we go back to our routines, we go back to our lives, we always forget like everything that you just said. I feel like now that I'm talking to you, whatever you're saying, it makes complete sense. It's like, why do I overcomplicate my life so much? But when I go back to my routine, it feels like all of those thoughts are forgotten. Like, what am I meant to do? Why am I overthinking this part of my life and overthinking that? You know what I mean?
Because you've been conditioned since you were born. So it takes a lot. It will take time. Some people are rebels like myself from little childhood. I wanted to wear this dhoti and everyone made fun of me and I could not see the fun. I was, I did not agree with that. I didn't even see that. If someone was making fun of me, I started laughing also. So it was no fun for them then. I did not react. I enjoyed what I was doing. And, there was a time that when I wore, my dhoti, people did not even let me in good restaurants or hotels. And now this is the only reason they call me in. It's like, man, the skirt, let him in. So, when you start believing in yourself, the whole world starts believing in you. But believing in yourself is the most difficult and the most easy thing to do. Because, I tell people, it's all about you. It is always all about you. Otherwise, it's not about you. So if it's not about you, I'm not concerned. It is always and only about you. And if it's not about you, it should not concern you.
Then it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Yeah, makes sense.
There's certain norms, there's certain things that you don't do. You don't wear bikini, in a masjid. It's, it's a thing. You don't do such things that would offend people.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, you have a huge umbrella that you could do whatever you want to. In our religion, in society also. Just don't offend people. For example, not now, but before in Saudi Arabia, if women were supposed to cover heads, we cover heads. It's the rule, it's the law of the land. Respect that. In Dubai, you're not supposed to, drive on the other side of the street. Don't do that. Like, no, in Pakistan, I drive on the other side, I'm going to drive here. No. You follow the rules. And life be simple. And enjoy it.
I guess enjoy life and live the life that you want, but remember certain boundaries that you would have within the land that you're in. Because I'm trying to find where's the balance between, living the life that you want, but also being aware of certain like rules, certain limitations, maybe limitation not the right word, but certain boundaries that you need to set. Like, how do you find that balance? Because I don't like it when, this is just my opinion, but I don't like it when, for example, people in the West constantly talk about how, I love the West because I can literally do whatever I want. I can say whatever I want. But what do you mean you can say whatever you want? Just that's, I don't think that's what freedom is. Freedom is not being able to just say whatever you want, because that could also mean being racist. That could also mean judging people. That could also mean hurting other people. So where's that balance?
See, एक होती है आज़ादी और एक होती है आवारगी. So, there are no limits. As a child, I was punished because the teacher wrote on the blackboard that sky's the limit. And I wrote the opposite. I said, sky's the beginning. Because I could see this guy's like, how could this be the limit? This is the beginning. So again, you as human, what would offend the other. But the ego kills it all. This ego, this competition kills it all. And when we understand that there's no competition, then the ego does not survive. And just understand the place you're in, respect the rules, regulations of the place. And otherwise, there's certain boundaries, but no limits. Human, we're breath of God. How can we have limits? The prophets came within us. No more prophets going to come. But messengers will always be here. You are a messenger. Understand that. There are millions of people watching you. They form an opinion after they see you. You have a huge responsibility. You cannot do anything that will offend even 1% of the people. Make them understand whatever your view is, you have to be articulate, you have to be educated, you have to be smart enough. Even if you want to convince them, choose the right words. Don't use offensive words. So, it is your moral responsibility to make people understand what you're trying to say. Not with conflict, but with compliment.
I think everything comes back to that.
Of course.
The concept of compliment versus competition. Ultimately, I guess, it's interesting because even the root cause of racism that you mentioned came back to that. Everything sort of circles back to that concept of competition versus complimenting one another.
सब झगड़े अना के होते हैं. सब झगड़े अना के होते हैं. लोग कब कहाँ किसी के होते हैं. क्यों लगाते हैं आरज़ुए मन उनसे जो खुद से बेवफा जुदा होते हैं. तो सब झगड़े आना के होते हैं. All about the ego. Be aware of it. Ego is not a bad thing. Just be aware of it.
How would you define the concept of love? We've talked about ego. We've talked about, belief in yourself. Because when I asked the question of love, you talked about believing in yourself. So would you define love as believing in yourself, or what is love?
So you're allowed to, love is a beautiful emotion, and you're allowed to love as many and as much as you can. And love, love for your mother is different, love for your lover is different, love for your friend is different, love for your pet is different. So different forms of love. Mm-hmm. So I believe that you are allowed to love as many and as much, but you're only allowed to fall in love with yourself. Because when you fall, only you can catch. And falling in love with yourself is falling in love with the mighty. So, yes, fall in love with yourself and love others.
I think, speaking of, as you said, there are so many different forms of love. So I was trying to think of more on what I could talk about when it comes to love, because it's so broad, right? Like there's so many different areas of it. And one thing that I was reading about was the concept of love versus attachment. And it was talking about how love is when you want, it could be your friend, your partner, your parent, whoever. Love is when you want them to be happy, and attachment is when you want them to make you happy.
See, love is giving, not taking or expecting. You don't. You have to enjoy that feeling of giving love. That is love, not receiving love. Every time, it's, love is not business. It's not give and take. It's not a partnership. You give because this is what you love. Your enjoyment is in that.
That is the fun part
That
of
is the
it.
fun part.
That we forget about.
You know, expecting is bonus.
Whatever you get in return is
It's
basically a
bonus.
bonus. Yeah.
But that's not the purpose.
Mm.
You know, we do it for our parents because we love it, nah? Same way with everything else.
It's that intention.
Yes, intention. And it's universal. Whatever you give comes back to you. It's karma. But don't expect it. Enjoy that exercise of you giving and finding that enjoyment in that and not in expecting. Because when you expect, you start giving, counting and giving. Like, I'm given 10, so I need to get 11
Where's
back.
mine now?
Exactly. It's not supposed to be like that. Just love. And again, you know, all our lives, we've been taught to acquire things. You know, acquire a name, acquire a business, acquire a degree, acquire a woman, acquire a man, acquire children, acquire a house, a passport. It's always about acquiring. In this acquiring, we've forgotten what we require. And once you acquire it, the requirement goes away.
Wow.
You don't require it anymore.
Yeah.
So the spark needs to stay alive. You always need to require. Love is like that.
That's something that you would always want to acquire.
When you want it back, it's acquiring. When you give it, it's requiring. So keep on giving. You can't stop giving. There's so much to love.
And that's why I guess that feeling of requiring something will always keep us going.
Exactly.
Whereas when that's gone, then it feels pointless,
okay, what do you do now?
lifeless. Yeah.
You know, you love someone and you're like, okay, what do I do now? We're taught how to like acquire, or like, now I'm married. And now you're
Okay,
married.
what's
And I'm
the
like,
point
okay,
of
now
life
what do we
now?
do? Now I require something else.
It's all, I guess that requirement is what keeps us going.
It's the spark.
Yeah.
The spark needs to stay alive.
And one thing that you said, I guess I want to get into what is wrong with love today, or what is love being practiced the wrong way today? Because I remember you saying something about how love is cheap now. What do you mean by that?
Everything is institutionalized now. In an institution, everything is about give and take. You know, so it's cheap. You know, I pay 10 rupees and I get what I want. And I sell it for 11. Depends. Where you selling it at? Which market you selling it at?
The price can vary.
Exactly. You know, you go in Dubai also. You buy
It's
it,
everywhere.
you know, a glass of water for 1 dirham, and in the evening at a club it's 15 dirhams.
So it's, yeah, institutionalized. You
Everything
said.
is institutionalized. Who goes in an institute? Crazy people.
And there's too many now, unfortunately.
What they've done is, you know, because, you know, all these things that have been institutionalized, you know, are human values. When you institutionalize them, you know, you get controlled. Again, all institutes are based on fear, guilt, and greed. From religion to your schools, to your hospitals, to your banks, to your companions, you know.
Literally everything, if you
everything.
think about it, yeah.
Think about it. Everything that's an institute, you know, is based on 3 fundamental things.
This is kind of, we're transitioning, but if you talk about men and women in society today, particularly in Pakistani society, what do you think when it comes to, you know, relationships, marriages, love in general? What do you think men and women do wrong? Like, what do they not understand when it comes to love?
First thing is, again, you know, there's a competition. They made us compete.
Like, men and women are competing against each
Of
other, you mean?
course. We want to be equal. I mean, you know, the other thing, the concept of equality is wrong. You know, we are not equal. We are different. You know, women are like God. They have the ability to give birth and nurture what they give birth to. Men, we are there to protect and ensure. You know, women were supposed to rule. Men were supposed to ensure that rule, that it goes smoothly. Women say, no, I want to be like a man. Men were like, you know, I'm very feminine. Well, there's a woman in every man, there's a man in every woman. But your jobs or responsibilities are different. A man wants, no, I want to be pregnant, I want to have a kid. And nowadays they're doing that. But you know, that's creating more complications. I mean, as you know, your role as a man or a woman, you have certain things, character traits. Just follow those. Women are no, I want to compete with a man. I want to be better than a man. Well, you can never be better than a man, and a man cannot be better than a woman. Your responsibility, how a woman does things, man can never do something like that. And how a man does, you look at our physiques also. We're made for different things. Yes, there's some people who are different, and it's a topic that people don't even talk about. They're like, okay, what do you think about the people who are not men and who are not women? A very sensitive topic nowadays. People don't want to talk about it. It's like, ask me questions, I will talk about it.
Yeah, that's a whole nother area. But
see, understand, there is one, I think in the beginning God made, man, and then he looked at the man, he's like, really boring. So he made women. And then he saw there was a spark in the man's eye. And again, this is a story that I've made. So
your perception.
Don't think that I'm, taken from any scripture or anything like that.
No.
So then he said, okay, man was very happy. And then he made more women and the man became more happier. And then he kept on making women. And the man was really, really happy. Then I think God said, I'm kind of bored now. So let me make someone with man's strength and women's delicacy. So he made the Khwajas. Why do we call them Khwajas? And why are there so few of them? More men and more women and very few Khwajas. These were kings. These were supposed to rule us. They were supposed to rule us. Just understand, a person who has both genders, they will be fair to both. They'll be the best judges. They'll be our gynecologists and urologists.
Understand both.
They'll be very sensitive. They'll be very detailed, stronger than a man, wiser than a woman. They were supposed to rule us. You know what we did? We put them out on the street. Made them shameful. God had chosen certain houses. I'm going to bless these people with kings. And we throw them in dumpsters. And we shame them. How sad is that? उनसे हमारा पर्दा भी नहीं है. ना मर्द का है, ना औरत का है. So, we've disturbed this whole, this beautiful cycle of life. And now, we forcefully, detain the brain. What are we feeding our kids? What are we feeding ourselves? Look at it. What are we showing? What are we teaching in school?
It's hatred mostly.
It's judgment. Judging the one who's not like you. Being afraid of the one who's not like you. Not complimenting, just competing. The life's supposed to be very beautiful. And it's become very sad. Because this is the only, this is the best time. The breath. And there's so much that you can enjoy. And all our lives, we're just defending. All our energies are going into defending things that are not even ours. We become offensive people. Look at our language. Look at our thoughts. Look at ourselves.
We're constantly in conflict with one another.
Something that this should have been the most beautiful vacation, has become, war. It's really sad, man. I mean, life's so beautiful and become so...
Yeah, it's very sad to see. Do you want some water?
No?
You're
Chai is kadak.
You like the chai?
The chai is kadak.
I think that, first of all, it's extremely sad to see how that's happened. And I think we don't realize that that's the extent to which that's happened.
Because we've been institutionalized.
We think it's normal.
Yes, we think otherwise.
Yeah. We think this is the norm.
Yeah. The abnormal is the normal of today.
Yeah, basically.
Everything that we see and, we don't feel anymore. We have no feelings left. It's all about right, wrong. It's about he, she. It's not about feelings. We don't feel anymore. Look at, in the morning when you leave home, how many times you hug your mother with this thing that, you might not see her again.
I don't think of that. Yeah.
How many times you shake hands, you actually feel the warmth in someone's hand? You don't. That's the sad part. We're made to love. It's such beautiful life. And what a waste of it. But, saying all that also, it's maybe this is the way that we would appreciate life. If this was not it, then we would not have appreciated it.
If it was that easy to
Yeah. If everyone
to
was
live
so
that
beautiful,
way. Yeah.
then, how would
If
we
you-
know what beauty was?
Yeah.
So maybe that's the...
The easier it is to get it,
Yeah.
the less likely you are to appreciate it and be grateful for it.
Exactly. But I mean, like this country, I mean, I look at this country. I mean, look at these people. They're just such beautiful people. I met with Sheikh Al-Nayan, I think yesterday. He was there.
Wow.
The man's a king. Obviously, some same family. He's royal. He's royalty. So humble. He came and shook hands. There was no security. There was nothing. He was just roaming around. He was just walking like he was in his living room. He had this chappal and, in his own garb and came over, just, such humble speech. And I hear the king also drives himself and his son drives himself and meets people. Look at what they've done out of the desert, man.
Yeah, it's insane.
And I could not believe they have like a ministry of happiness. Oh my, I mean, I was just so delighted. And Sheikh Nayan he's the minister for
Tolerance.
Where in the world happened? This is, I was like, oh my God, this is euphoria. And I go out and I see people from all over the world. Not one hatred, slang written on the streets. Israelis coexisting with Palestinians and Muslims at the same time. The whole world needs to take example from this country. And it's like, yay big.
Yeah, it's tiny.
It's yay big. But look at the impact.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be here. Why? Hardly any judgment.
And that's why the point you made about how if it was easy, you wouldn't be.
I'm in love with this ministry of happiness, man.
Did you recently find out about it?
I just recently found out. I didn't know,
That's the thing. Like now when you mention it to me, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But so I was born and raised here, and a lot of these things I took for granted. I didn't realize that this is a blessing, that I should be grateful for it. And only when I started to travel more and see other parts of the world, meet different people, I realized like, wow, UAE is
Look
insane.
at their vision.
Yeah.
When you said, it was written, it's the Ministry of Tolerance. I want to kiss the man. I was like, how beautiful is this? This is so beautiful that you have a Ministry of Tolerance.
Tolerance of all things.
There's no... Who was this? I want to meet the person who came up with this idea.
It's amazing, yeah.
I want to meet that person who came up with this idea. And I think every government needs to take example from what they have set. This Ministry of Tolerance, man.
And I think that usually when you look at government, you see ministries of material things, right? Like of technology, of business, of education. This is the first time you see a ministry of values. So
there's the Ministry of Emotion.
Yeah, of emotion, of values.
So, I'm just in awe since I've seen that yesterday. And the man himself was like the perfect example
that's
of
amazing.
The Ministry of Tolerance.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of his speeches. He's incredibly humble.
There were 60,000 people yesterday. And, the Pakistan Association does not have the budget to do something like that. So obviously someone funded them. And it was the Ministry of Tolerance. Just imagine that they paid for my Independence Day.
Wow, that's crazy actually. Now that I think about it.
They paid for my independence.
Wow.
And the minister came for that. I'm like, hello. Where does this happen in the world? What kind of place have they've created? Jannah. Ministry of Tolerance is Jannah.
And it's not just Pakistan. Like they have it for Egypt, they have it for multiple Philippines. They have it for multiple other countries now that exactly.
I'm
why.
speechless. I mean, like, where does this happen? Which comic book were they reading? I want to read that too, man. Which scripture came to
I
them?
love this reaction. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd never heard of that.
Yeah, that's a real reaction because that's true. It's just that
I've not read it in history books.
True.
I mean, where did this come from?
And it's when you read about it, there's like over 200 plus nationalities.
So now
that have
you
lived
find
here.
me the
The
person
person who came
up
up
with the
with this.
idea of
I
Ministry
must
of
now.
Tolerance.
I have to now. Yeah.
That's my man. I need to go to
This
that man
is the
or a
next
woman or
mission.
whoever it is. That is the person I need to go and kiss their hand, man, and tell them to like spread this all over the world. I think they should, they should take this to the United Nations, and they should make it mandatory that they need to have. Man, they've set an example. This actually has helped. It's worked.
I mean, it's
And it's
actually
working.
worked. I mean,
And it's working.
people of all kinds come here and they coexist. That's why I feel like when you grow up here, you, I guess, learn to exist with people you may completely disagree with, but you're able to live with them.
There's war going on between Israel and Palestine and Iran. And I see Persians having, dinner at the same table as Israelis, and nobody's fighting, nobody's shouting, nobody's saying anything. Ministry of Tolerance is the way to go.
This is the highlight. The
This-
Ministry
yes.
of Tolerance. That's
Yes.
true. That's true. UA is done.
But then again, the minister needs to be act like the person who's taking the responsibility of it too.
Yeah.
You can't have an arrogant Ministry of Tolerance person that doesn't meet anyone.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's not just the idea, it's also the execution of that
Execution.
idea. It's not just the concept that's amazing, but it's also the execution. And I think that's what's so powerful about the UA. Of course, they have these incredibly unique ideas like the Ministry of Tolerance, but the way they execute it is unbelievable. It
Unbelievable.
works. It actually works.
But I think the world needs to look at this little, small, young country that shaped the whole world.
Which it's almost as old as my father. Like, it's that young.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in front of our eyes. And most of the Pakistanis built the roads and the buildings here. And we build it here, we can't do it at home.
We know how to build it. We just don't know where. We don't build it in the right places. Not that we don't do it in the right places, but we just don't do it at home.
It's niyat. Everything is intention. They take ownership of their country. We do not take ownership of our country. I've not met any Emirati who's standing in line for a US passport or an English passport or an Australian or a Canadian passport.
They would never even consider it.
That's the only difference.
They wouldn't even consider living anywhere else.
That's ownership. That's ownership. And this is not Switzerland. You understand? This is not Switzerland. And they still don't want to get Switzerland's nationality. They want to go visit, come back home.
But they know they'll come back home. Yeah.
We do not have that feeling of home. We do not have that feeling of ownership. That's the
Why
sad
do you
part.
think? Why is that not there in Pakistan?
We don't have Ministry of Tolerance.
That's the solution we found.
Solution is that.
This is the moral of the story of this episode. The
Yes,
Ministry of Tolerance.
they are the flag bearers, and I think they should lead the whole world towards this tolerance. With this tolerance, then there's nothing. Look at it. Everyone's thriving. I mean, there's masjids and there are clubs. Everyone's coexisting.
Yeah.
Nobody's pointing fingers at anyone.
There's no judgment.
Why do everyone wants to have this golden visa and UAE? Why? Because of that.
Yeah, that's why I always said that in the UAE, you can live whatever life you want to live. If you want to live a life that, you want to go to the clubs, you want to party, you can live that life. If you want to live a life with, surrounded by family, praying, doing all of that, you can live that life. Like, there's a space for everything.
This is a model And we need to start following this model because this model has worked and is still working.
Yeah.
And I think Saudi is following this model.
A lot of countries have started now to follow this model as they should.
They still don't have the Ministry of Tolerance.
Ultimately, yes. That is what's
That is
missing.
my tagline.
That is your tagline now.
That is my tagline
Ministry
now.
of Tolerance. I'm not going to
Everywhere
forget
I go
that.
around the globe now, that's what I'm going to say. Just go to UAE and meet with the man or the woman who came up with this idea and tell them to bring it to your country.
Yeah. I mean, Ministry of Tolerance. That's the solution.
The United Nations need to have a special desk for him there. Yeah.
Wow.
It should be global. I don't know why they have not given him the Nobel Peace Prize yet. The person deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. Ministry, whoever came up with this ministry.
Yeah, we're gonna check. We're gonna find the person. When we make the video, we'll have.
And make sure you nominate that person
It's
for
important.
the Nobel Prize,
Yes.
Nobel Peace Prize. Those are the deserving people. We need to set examples. We need to look up to those examples.
So we've talked about UAE and how wonderful the UAE is done, which is absolutely insane. And there's so much that we can learn from it. And even the way I started this episode was about how we can learn from each and every single country you can learn something or the other, whether there's good or bad. I kind of want to come back to Pakistan society because a lot of our audience, they're Pakistani expats. And a lot of them live in the US, live in the UAE, they live in Pakistan as well. We talked a little bit about the US in the beginning. And if we had to talk about Pakistan and how Pakistan has been built and what Pakistan is today, if you had to talk about one thing that you would like to change in Pakistani society, excluding the Ministry of Tolerance, I knew you were going to mention.
That's all what we need.
Yeah.
We have everything. You know, God's blessed us with this most beautiful country, from the mountain peaks to the plateaus to the people. Beautiful people also. It's not we're bad people. We're beautiful people. You know, and you know this tribal culture. Unfortunately, you know, the tribal culture has kind of died in Punjab and in Sindh. And, you know, only tribal culture is still living in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan. So what we need to do is we need to learn from this tribal culture. Because these are also tribal people. The Arabs were tribal people. So all what we need is we just need intention. We just need intention. We have everything. Everything you can think of.
Yeah, Pakistan. If you just think of Pakistan itself, it's such a rich country, rich in resources,
Rich in everything.
rich in everything that you can think of. Yeah,
The only thing is someone else cashing it out.
it's how you utilize those resources. And what you said that we have to learn from the tribal people. Why is that so important? What is it about the tribal people?
You know, these are the oldest people. You know, they took care of the tribe. You know, they had rules that protected the tribe. You know, they had festivals that enriched the tribe. They had cultures that represented the tribe. So, and you know, we were tribal. Now we become a hujum. Now we become a crowd. You know, a crowd is very hard to handle, to manage. And crowd does not belong to anyone. You know, tribes belong. You know, there's what we need is ownership. Ownership of my country. People not taking ownership of my country, of their country. We start taking ownership of our country. You know, from the common man, you know, to the politicians, to the bureaucrats, to everyone. We have the money, we have the land, we have the people, we have the brains. We just don't have the intention yet.
Even when you look at videos or speeches of the leaders of the UAE, they always talk about how they want it to be number one for my people. They say my people because they know they associate people of the UAE as like as part of their family in a way.
Tribal.
Yeah.
But now, you know, Dubai has become a global tribe. Now when I see them saying my people, it involves me also. Even as a tourist. If I'm in their country, I'm their people. They're treating me with respect also, na?
Yeah.
They're treating you, you've been living here, they're treating you with respect also. So you're also my people, their people. That is the difference. You know, that's why you have the Ministry of Tolerance. It's humanity. They talk about humanity. Otherwise, they would not have created the Ministry of Tolerance. So when these tribal people say, my people, it's you and I included. This is what the tribe did. Any guests would come in. What did the, people of Medina did when the Meccans
Welcome
came?
them.
Welcomed them, treat them as gave them homes. This is what these people have done. This is the riyasat.
It's a sense of hospitality as well, and that
All
is it.
tribal,
Yeah, yeah.
hospitable.
And
Look at
also
the Pathan, Pashtuns. Look at the Baloch.
some of the most hospitable people in the
All-
world.
Go into the villages of Punjab. Go into the villages of Sindh. Find only hospitable people. Same as you go into the Bedouin area here also.
Yeah, but even when you look at Pakistan in general, I feel like Pakistanis are hospitable people. We have that hospitality in us.
It's human. It's human. Whenever I go to India, not a store charges me money. Oh, can you believe that? Same as whenever an Indian comes to Pakistan, we treat him with all the respect, with all the love.
Yeah, there are videos of people telling them you're our guest.
I guess people not even charging them money.
Yeah,
And these are not celebrities. They're just local people.
yeah.
So just see, we need to learn from tribes, because everyone was a tribe before.
We came from
We
that.
just become the lost tribes.
Yeah, we're the lost tribes, basically, yeah. And how was your experience like in India? I would love to dissect that a little bit.
Amazing. Beautiful. Love. All I got was love. All I got was respect. And incidents would happen here and there. Not with me, but generally you would hear, but it's okay. I have more racist people in my country. Why would I look at someone else? So it's okay.
Why do you say we have a lot of racist people in our country?
Because, we've been led by such people. Again, they take refuge under religion, they take refuge under culture, they take refuge under certain things. That is the sad part.
What you just said about refuge under religion, this is what I think growing up, this is what I found problematic, which was using Islam or the idea of religion as an excuse or a justification to do things that's not Islam, that's not religion, which I see a lot of still in society. What do you think of that?
Every religion does that.
Yeah, I don't think it's just Islam, definitely.
Fear,
not.
guilt, greed. Simple. You control them. If you put fear, guilt, and greed in someone, they'll sell their mother. This is motherland, na? Mother Earth.
I think, do you have certain, I guess, examples of what you've seen where people have used religion as an excuse or a justification to do things? Like, how often do you see that in society today?
Every religion preaches peace.
That's true.
What do you see in reality? In the name of religion. In the name of thy Lord.
It's
Simple.
not religion. It's clearly not religion.
Every religion preaches peace. And these were religion was this tool to connect people, to protect people. And they've used it as a weapon to destroy them.
That's where I feel like a lot of this misconceptions about religion. I know this is in all religions, but particularly in Islam, because many people have such a huge misconception of Islam, especially in the West, even though they've not read what it is, they're not fully aware of what it is, but they have this misconception. And a lot of it is because of how people have used religion as an excuse, as a justification to do things that's not actually religion.
Well, the past 2 decades, Islam's been, in the limelight of media. But every religion, you go into Christianity, you go into Judaism, you go into Hinduism, every religion has these extremist sects.
Yeah, exactly.
That are not preaching tolerance.
Not at all. They need to have a ministry of tolerance, yes.
So every question is the same answer. And we have no problems.
Yeah.
See?
Ministry of tolerance is the way to go, honestly.
I think in Dubai also, I would like to see a separate flag for this ministry that's everywhere. Why?
As a reminder, yeah.
why did I have to come here to know this? I mean, they need to have proper propaganda for this. I mean, it should be everywhere. Every wall should have graffiti of this, or banners and posters from airport to airlines and everywhere in the
True.
world, and magazines. This ministry. I mean, they need to. I think this needs to explode
Yeah.
everywhere. They need to say, look what we're doing, and it's worked. Come on. I mean, you're showing, Imar and everything else that's selling. This is something that everyone wants. Why are you not selling this idea?
And this is the unique component of the country.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you tell them, because of this, we have this. Exactly.
This is the
Because of this tolerance
foundation.
thing, you have Dubai. If you
Yeah.
don't have tolerance, you don't have Dubai.
100%.
Nobody would want to come here.
100%.
So they need to, this is their main product, man. This is like, I'm
You've
serious.
cracked it.
This is it. And what they need to sell this idea to everyone and their mothers in this world.
But true, it's true, yeah. I just feel like people in the I mean, I've lived here. I don't think people here have acknowledged it in the way that you've addressed it, because we take it for granted, of course. Because I don't think I've realized the major impact that this ministry has made. We've heard it. Of course, we've heard it. We know there's a ministry of tolerance. We know there's a ministry of happiness. We just know it. But we don't actually reflect and be like, there's a ministry of tolerance.
अब यही हाल है रब्बिकुम आतुका ज़िबान. I mean, like, what else? किस चीज़ का शुक्र अदा करें अगर आपके पास tolerance है?
True.
Everything comes to you. So this is a concept that should be sold to every corporate, every country, every politician, and every religion preaches this.
It is in the religion. It's just not in practice. People just don't practice it.
Every religion, preaches tolerance and practices war.
Exactly, unfortunately. And the thing is that the reason why I know you were saying that all religions have extremism, which is 100% true, and completely agree with that. The reason why I bring up Islam is because of how there's an emphasis on Islam, particularly in media, that a negative perception of Islam more than others in media. And that's because there are Christian extremists, but people don't call them Christian extremists. They call them right-wing, far right-wing extremists. They call them everything else besides what the religion actually is. Whereas for Islam or for Muslims, they do mention that term. They add that term to it.
See, I mean, like, the enemy is always changing. From the Native Americans all the way to the Russians. The media has shown them as enemies. In between there were Japanese, Koreans, Vietnamese, Chinese. So it was the Muslim turn. So we were not in the limelight, especially in the negative limelight for the longest time. And now we came in the limelight. God forbid, who's next? So extremism, it's just a lot of power. And power is abused. But when it's abused, it's taken away. And it destroys you. So right now, unfortunately, it's destroying Muslims. We're very powerful at one time. But since we did not have the Ministry of Tolerance, we lost it all.
We lost it. Yeah.
You need, with power, you need to be humble. Then the power grows. You become arrogant, it kills you.
And it's quite easy for people to become arrogant.
And yes, since Muslims are in the limelight, yes, every single thing about every single sect is going to be pinpointed. You pick up Christianity, you will find more. You pick up Hinduism, you'll find even more. You find Judaism, you'll find even more. And once media attacks it, they create more things out of nothing.
Yeah, out of thin air, yeah.
Out of thin air. Like I said, I was growing up, I did not know the difference between Shia Sunnis. All of a sudden, they became kafirs. How? Look at the media, the newspapers, the magazines, the sermons.
In the US, were you ever judged for being a Muslim? Was that ever?
Of course. I've been judged in my country, let alone being in America. So it's okay. But again, you don't react, you act. Same, my example. I was going to London. And at the airplane, everyone was my friend. Everyone was like, Yousuf, narrate this. Yousuf, put some perfume. As friends. As soon as we landed in London, nobody wanted to stand in line with me. I was like, oh, come. Oh, no, I have a British passport, a separate line. It's like, hello. And in front of me was this, woman who was like really butch and, kind of like looking at me. She had this buzz off hair and she was very kind of like scary looking. And she was staring down at me because she, I saw a person with a turban and, gungroos and, walking towards her. And as soon as I came in front of her, she asked me like, no hello, nothing, no passport. She was like, do you need a translator? And I was like, yes, I do if you don't understand English. And she started laughing. And that was it. She didn't ask me any other question. Her fear was gone. So I did not react. I acted. And that one action led me to be friends with the other person.
True. It's
Voila.
the way you respond to the situation.
So you will find people, and sometimes it's not even their fault. And sometimes it's not even their surroundings' fault. Sometimes it's my surroundings' fault. In this case, it was my surroundings' fault. We made them fearful because of our actions, of our reactions. That's why she was afraid of us. I don't think that, she was raised with prejudice or raised with racism. But what she was seeing, what Muslims or Pakistanis in general and in England were doing, she's like, these people either do not know English or this was her perception.
But do you think that doesn't come from ignorance as well?
Well, everything comes from ignorance. But again, we're taught ignorance also.
We're taught to ignore. Then that's not ignorance though.
No, we sugarcoat it. It tastes good. It tastes good. It looks acceptable.
But then is that fair? Like, I know I don't want to say it in a way. I know you were saying everyone wants to figure out what's right and wrong and all of that. But there needs to be a line drawn where where we need to address a situation or address that something is done is wrong. And it's not to blame the other person, but it's to make them aware that, they are being ignorant or they are being unaware of, or they are being offensive or they are,
Again, it's about the ego, how, but understand one thing, have empathy. Have empathy for people. And people who do not have empathy for animals will not be able to love humans. So empathy towards animals is very important. And empathy towards animals is gone from people, from my people. Dogs sitting on the other side. It's like dogs like, hello.
What did I do?
Why are you behaving like animals? Animals don't even
You're
behave
more
like that.
of an animal than I am. The dog.
So it's yeah. So this is what's happened. We lack empathy. For that, we need the Ministry of Tolerance.
Yes. This is the conclusion of the episode. We need a Ministry of Tolerance.
Yes, and you need to nominate that person for the next Nobel Prize. That person deserves it.
Yeah, we're going to find that person. Yes.
Good.
Thank you so, so much for being here, for having this conversation with me, and for honestly just sharing all this wisdom and experiences that I have to really, I feel like there's so much now I have to think about. After every episode, I think about what was discussed, and I feel like there's so much that now I have to kind of process, which is a great thing.
No, I don't want you to think about anything.
Okay.
Everything we talked about, just feel. Just feel whatever we talked about, just see how you felt about it. Because we're thinking so much. Stop thinking for a bit, man. Yes, we need to think also, but sometimes shut it off. Just feel. Just feel, did it feel right to you? What happened in this cavity, not this cavity?
That's beautiful. Yeah.
So just feel. Don't think too much. Especially our conversation, because you made me cry, you made me laugh. You did a lot of things to me. So understand your power also. And again, there's no prophets going to come after my Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. No other prophet. But messengers will come. And they have certain responsibilities. You are one of the messengers. So it's a huge responsibility.
Yeah. Well,
I
thank
think
you
you're
for
doing a
making
great
me
job.
aware of it. I'm gonna remember that. Thank you so, so much.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
I think one point that I wanted to mention, I didn't mention it earlier. It was so the point that you made about equality, and I just want to mention it now before we end. And what you said about how men and women, how we've lost our roles, we're confused between what our roles is. I completely agree with that. I think for me, my only thing is that the way we define equality varies, because when people think of equality of roles, of course that's wrong, because you cannot have the same role. The man and woman are have different roles. That's normal. That's meant to be. But when people talk about equality, they talk more about equality of opportunity. So equality of, for instance, if women do know their role, but they also do want to contribute by working, and so they want to have that opportunity to be able to work. For example, I wanted to have the opportunity to be able to start a podcast. And I think that's where equality, that's what some, that's where the word came from, but now it's taken to the extreme and the word has misconstrued or whatever. That's how I would perceive it.
They politicized it.
Yeah.
It should not be politicized. It should be understood. Are we that dumb? We are that dumb.
We are actually. Good to have.
And for this, we need to have the Ministry of Tolerance. No, the thing is, it's just so simple. Of course, someone's better than you. They need to be in that place.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
And even if they're not better than you, give them an opportunity to become better at what they're doing.
Yeah.
Not better than someone, better than what they're doing.
Yeah, just better person. Like
exactly. For
just
example, as an artist,
as a person.
as a host also, you should be sitting here inspiring other women to be not better than you, to be better in them.
Yeah.
They need to outshine themselves, not outshine someone else. The spotlight is always on you.
Yeah. I mean,
Like I said.
that makes me more aware of how big of a platform this is. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
I really, really appreciate it. I loved the conversation. I hope you did as well.
Oh, it reminded me all times.
Oh, really?
Great.
I appreciate that. Thank you.